You at the highest mountain and the lowest valley. Higher ground, gospel radio. Making the time 5 o'clock right here on Higher Ground Gospel Radio. It's now time for the program Transforming Your Relationship with Bonitto Grange.
Higher Ground Gospel Radio Station is inviting you again this Friday, November the 25th, on Transforming Your Relationship. We'll be having a live discussion, folks, on forgiveness is a choice. That's right. Forgiveness, it really is a choice. I'll also be having a client of mine and giving her testimonial of what she has experienced during our time together coaching. My good friend, also Heather Piechnik, who's a Christian relationship and life coach, will be joining us. She is a woman that believes in supporting women to have their dream marriage and getting their life back. So join us November the 25th, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Our discussion will be on forgiveness is a choice, along with a testimonial from a client of mine. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Ain't no smiling. Well, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me clear there, Mr. O'Shane? So glad that you folks have joined tonight. We have an interesting topic tonight, which is forgiveness is a choice, as we have advertised. But before we start, we just want to give out some shout outs here to Pastor Clive and Lady Melody for allowing us to be on this program, for the work that they're doing in the kingdom of God and just reaching souls, and also for Minister Roshane Douglas for helping us out with all the background work. So obviously this couldn't have been done without him. And as some may know, you're wondering why this young man, Roshane, is smiling so much. Roshane, you want to tell him why you're smiling so much? Well, I believe it's because his family's here in Edmonton.
Man.
So that deserves a smile and a happy dance and all that good stuff. So we're glad that they're here. We're glad that they reached safely. And I'm sure that she's going to make him a much better man in the days and years to come. Am I right there, Mr. Roshane?
Go ahead, sir. You're talking good.
As well as he's been supporting her, and such a beautiful couple. I just got to know them shortly, and getting to know them a little bit more as time goes on. Beautiful couple, working in the kingdom of God. Beautiful people. And so we have here tonight, myself, we have Heather Piechnik, another relationship and life coach. She's coming live from British Columbia. I also have a past client of mine, or actually still working with her. Her name is Janelia Carr. So she's going to give her testimonial, and we're going to allow her to come in first. Well, before she comes in, let's tell you a little bit about ourselves, about me. Heather, you want to go first? Seems like I do most of the top. Heather, you want to go first? Tell them a little bit about you, what you got to offer, and all that good stuff.
Well, Bonitto, I'm honored to be here tonight, and it's just always a thrill to hang out with you and talk about these hot topics that we are so passionate about. And I'm here because I love serving women to make their marriages amazing, to make their lives amazing, to serve God in a powerful way, and living from our highest and best. And I have been a coach, I think, my whole life. I feel like God's put that on my heart for a long, long time. And then a few years back, I decided to make it more official and get the official training to do this job, and to supply people with tools and some insights, and to help them just look at themselves to see what they can change to make their lives amazing. Beautiful. And to make changes. So I am passionate about it. I am passionate about my marriage. It has its ups and downs, and challenges, and amazing fun moments too. I have two sons who I hope I've been a good example to, of a wife to their dad. And now I'm a grandma with a beautiful granddaughter too. So I feel super blessed, and super blessed to be here tonight. So thanks for inviting me.
Beautiful. Thank you. And she'll be joining us every now and again. She's got so much to give, this lady. She is just awesome. Everybody that live she touches, even she just finished coming off of vacation a couple of days ago, folks. And she didn't even have a good time to even rest, but she volunteered. So I didn't twist her arm. She volunteered that she would love to come in. And you'll hear more from her in the coming months. We've got a beautiful program, or I guess it would be a program or session. It's called The Wives Superpower, how wives can connect on a deeper level with their husbands. So that's coming up in the future. A little bit about myself for those that's coming on for the first time. I've been married for 36 years. Actually, coming up November the 29th will be my 36-year anniversary. So I'll be taking my wife away for a nice all-inclusive holiday in the Caribbean island of Jamaica. Looking forward to that. She's been a great supporter of everything that I've done in the ministry, been in the church and involved in ministry now for close to 40 years and assistant and one of the assistant pastors in the church. Along with Heather too, I guess we've been a coach for most of our life when you really think about it. But then I was doing a couple sessions in our church for about probably about 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years. Once every 2-3 months, we'd get together. We'd have a great time. We'd have some great topics, the wives and the husband. And, after doing that for an extended amount of time, I figured, you know what, like Heather, I need to go get certified for this thing. So it's been quite a few years now that we have been certified with the International Coaching Federation. So we're loving what we're doing. And my desire also is to bring down world divorce one conversation at a time. What we do is what a couple was once struggling with, we can make them cuddle again. And when they begin to fall, once they begin to fall out of love, we help them to fall back in love again. And so it's basically a lot around communication, supporting the wife, supporting the husband. We're never here to take sides of whether the husband's right or whether the wife is right. But we're here to bring the relationship back to where it needs to be. You started off as we, and all of a sudden, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but as time went on, it went to me. So we're trying to bring the we back into the equation again. And that's just like Heather, we're doing some exercises, some homework that every couple or individual get to go home with at the end of our session. And when they come back again, we have conversation on whatever comes up or whatever was priority in their life. So we're doing what we love and we're loving what we do. We have a client of mine. Her name is Janelia. Do you want to come in? And she's going to give her a testimonial of basically the time that we worked with her, what it was like even before she came. We had our 4th session just the other day and she had me in stitches. So Janelia, you want to come in and give your testimony on what was life like before, what's going through your mind even before you signed up, all that good stuff. And then we'll ask a few questions also. Go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you.
She's a brave soul.
What was life like before? What was going through my mind? Well, I knew that I needed to work on me. I just was not wanting to, if I'm honest. And finding every excuse not to. I was nervous. And does it really work? Will it really help? Does it matter? Like, I can figure out what's wrong with me, myself, or what I need to work on myself. That's kind of where I was at. And some disappointment in the things that you're not doing correctly,
Right.
but maybe you just don't want others to know as well.
And beautiful. And since you signed up, it's been we've had 4 sessions together. So what's transpired in your life since we have started from day one, which is almost a month now, I believe?
Right. Lots. So I've been doing my homework. I've applied myself. And I haven't checked off all my boxes of my goals, but there's one step at a time moving forward.
Absolutely.
In being more conscious in how I speak and what I do and what I say and how I say it.
Beautiful. In our third session, what happened after our 3rd session? Because you had me in stitches. What happened in your 3rd session and before you came into your 4th session, which was just a few days ago?
Our 3rd session, we I believe we went over the 5 love language, the apology language, the anger, and we had already gone over the 5 love language tests and reviewed that and spoke about it and we apology language and I remember thinking that, okay, that's done and over with. And the anger was, I'm working on it. So it was like, great, it was over with. And then come back on that third one, and we went back to the last two, my lowest scores on my love language. And I was just kind of like, okay, like, okay, this again, like, why? And I, I I just said in the session, I was like, this is uncomfortable. And your response was, good. That means you're doing your job. And in my head, I'm thinking, I could just like all the static in the phone and and just pretend that I can't hear him and hang up. Is where I was at. And so I thought, okay, no, we'll wait. And later on, we kept on going, kept on talking, and it was just so hard. And I couldn't pinpoint why at the time. I kept telling you, I'm just like, man, the session's so hard. And you're like, yes, that means I'm doing. I'm just like, no, he's not getting this. Like, this needs to end. Like, I'm done. Why am I putting myself through this? What is wrong with me? Like, I'm
Nothing.
trying to focus. My head I was hurting, and I was just like, I could just hang up and pretend my phone died. Like, thinking of all the different ways to get out of the session. That's where it was.
But she made it through. Just tell me a little bit about your individual that you used to be so hard with, and what she noticed about you.
So I have a manager here, and we always seem to butt heads a little bit. And she's kind of like, she's been asking, well, what's happening? Like, hold on, this is not the way you respond. And I didn't really pick up on it initially at the time. It wasn't after until I made mention of it. And I just told her, well, no, it's just me, and we're not butting heads as much, I think. And I know that's because I'm doing my part in my work and being conscious of what and how I'm doing things and conducting myself and speaking and so on. And yeah, I'm grateful that just is a small step in the right
Beautiful.
direction for me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And what would you want, before we end here, what would you want to tell folks that are listening about life coaching and what they can expect, or how life can change for them, and just through conversations?
Life coaching, I think, is something that we all need. I think it's something that you definitely need, all of us, couples too. And I want to say that it works as long as you're going to expect it. You got to expect the work. You're going to expect the honesty with yourself and with your coach, and very different from counseling. So it's not the same thing. But that transparency and that honesty, because you have to tell your coach, you realize that this is where I am honestly at. And honestly, I've tried to fix it and I don't know how. So I would say go for it. It is worth it. You apply yourself. It's a lot of work. You will have homework. You will have a lot of reflecting, time for yourself. But that in the end, it's needed, and you will watch yourself grow. You watch yourself grow quickly.
Amen. Thank you so much. It's been it's been a privilege just to be able to work with you and actually to see the transformation taking place little by little. And we're still not finished yet. We've still got a few more months to go. But we appreciate you taking the time to come in and just let folks know that we're not just doing this thing for ourselves also, but also because there's lives out there that needs to be changed, and you don't have to be stuck.
And
all right.
All coaches are not the same. There's some that really do care. So
yeah. Okay.
That's really important.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for joining in again. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we'll be speaking here in the next future to continue our sessions as we move forward. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Heather, are you still there?
I am. I
Let's
am.
see. Let's see. So, before we start, our session today is on the power of forgiveness. And you've been speaking with our friend Janelia that came in, also just things that had to be had to be done, especially when it comes to forgiveness too, and a lot of other things that comes up. So that's what we're really going to be focusing on today. But what's interesting is, before we even start, I was going to read you here. I'm not sure if you've known before, we were speaking about that this afternoon, that unforgiveness is classified in the medical books as a disease. How many know that out there? How many knew that unforgiveness is classified in the medical books as disease? It's according to Dr. Stephen Standiford, chief of surgery at the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Refusing to forgive makes people sick, and it keeps them away. He said, with that in mind, we have now what's called forgiveness therapy is now being used to help to treat that disease, such as cancer. He said it's important to treat emotional wounds or disorders because they really can hinder someone's reaction to treatment. He said of all cancer patients, 61% have forgiveness issues. Of those, more than a half are severe, according to the research. He said, when we harbor these negative emotions, this anger, this hatred, it creates a chronic anxiety. And what happened now is that your body produces excess adrenaline and cortisol, which deplete the production of natural killer cells, which is your body's foot soldiers in the fight against cancer. And what's happening is when you continue to keep that spirit of unforgiveness, your body becomes chemically unbalanced, where that the cells that were supposed to be there now to activate and to treat bacteria or whatever else, they can't do that job that they're supposed to do because we have not released them to do what they need to do. And in order for us to release them, we got to release something called forgiveness. So, Heather, with you, tell us, what do you see happening where forgiveness is concerned, and along that line, even with clients or just in life yourself? And if you have a story of your own too, and I'm sure you do, you always have these great stories. If you have stories of your own to tell us about that and how you overcame that and what transpired, you want to share.
You know, it's true. Forgiveness is a big topic. It can go so many different directions with this topic, and it's fascinating to hear how it affects our body, like affects us physically and causes so many problems. And I think if we all knew that and focused on it a little bit more, we'd maybe learn some skills quickly, because I don't want to be sick because I can't forgive that thing my husband said last week, or other things.
Right.
And you know, it reminds me of that saying that I forget who the quote's from, but basically when you don't forgive someone, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Wow.
So we get affected by it. We hurt, our bodies hurt for it, our energy hurts for it, because we're exhausted from holding on to that grudge, holding on to that hurt. And I'm really thrilled that you're doing this Let It Go series, Bonitto. There's so many things in life, so many topics to work on letting go. I remember being challenged a few months back actually. The fellow on the radio said, let go of your pet peeves. Just let them go. And I thought, well, I'm pretty attached to mine, so that's a hard thing to do, just let something go. But, you know, I've challenged myself ever since then to say, you know, if I do have a pet peeve that creeps up, it's like, just let it go, Heather. Don't give it time. Don't focus on it. And this is similar with forgiveness. When I'm married to a great man, Superman, and he
It's like my
grows me,
Superwoman,
because he's married to Superwoman. He challenges me every day almost with just our differences, the way we view things differently, handle things differently, do life differently. And so when he will will comment on something, or maybe do a bit of a harsh word, or not give me something I thought he would give me, a little extra love or empathy that I need at the time, and he just misses the boat completely. A little while ago, he came in and I was sharing a struggle I was having that day, and I really needed his love and to tell me I was going to be okay, and that he really heard me, and then all of a sudden he just flipped the subject to something that he was struggling with, and then he left the room, and there I was, just kind of raw, sitting there thinking, well, where's the love and where's the help, and boy, that was hurtful. But right then and there, I thought to myself, I can hang on to that. I can grab onto that offense and make it my own, and grow it. I can water it and make it really big. That he's just never been that guy, and I can make a story around his behavior like so fast of who he is. But I thought to myself, just let it go. Let it go, because he didn't mean to do that. He was preoccupied with his other situation he had going on. He is an amazing guy, and loves me to bits. And so it was really freeing for me to just make the conscious effort in the moment to say, you know what, Heather, let it go. Love the man. He loves me. Let that
Wow.
go. Yeah. Can't say I do it all the time, but that one served me very well. And it was like, hey, there was a big win. There was some big victory there. It was awesome.
What do you think that makes it? Hey, thanks for sharing again. What do you think makes it so hard to for someone to say those two words, that I'm sorry? What captivates them and hold them so much in a prison cell that they refuse to let go of that? And the words seem so simple,
right?
That I'm sorry. What do you think hold individuals from actually verbalizing that and make that known?
Yeah. Well, that's probably different for everybody. I feel, I coach women to change their marriages with the power they have, because we have all the power to make it great. It's
Right.
phenomenal. And when I speak with women in regards to forgiveness, or in regards to saying I'm sorry, when we try to control you guys, or we jump on your page instead of staying on our page, that needs an apology. That needs that I'm sorry for disrespecting, that disrespectful comment. And that's tough for me to say, Bonitto. That's really tough to choke out. It's like glass in my throat.
I'll tell you my story in a minute, okay?
Right? It's not easy for any of us. And so
No.
I really had to look at it, though. I had to ask myself, what is my fear around that? What am I afraid of when I say I'm sorry? And I gotta say, to be really like honest from my heart, it's fear of being rejected, like not accepted, the forgiveness not
Right.
being accepted,
Okay.
not the sorry not being accepted. It's admitting my failure, like I messed up, and now I got to say it out loud, and also, if I don't really see he's responded to what I just said incorrectly, that maybe he didn't notice, and if I point it out by apologizing, then he might want to talk about it further, and and then really put it out there, and shame. There's lots of factors that keep me quiet when I really just should say, I'm really sorry for that. My words, will you give me a do-over? Will you let me try again? And it's a lot of pride. It really is. It's pride of, I don't want to admit I did it wrong. And yeah. And then there's the fear of him not accepting the forgiveness too, or accepting the sorry. And yeah, and also probably the bottom line I thought of earlier this afternoon was, it's the fear of really looking at the hurt I may have caused. The hurt I may have caused someone, what I just said or what I just did. I don't want to look at it. And I don't want them to look at it either. It's kind of ugly. So I think those things hold me back from saying, sorry, sweetheart.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I think I might have told the story once. This one always stands out in my mind is that I had done something. I might have said something to my wife. I can't exactly remember. I can't remember the exact situation, but I had done something. She went to work, and I knew what I did was wrong, or what I said was wrong. And all through the day, you're right. It's like glass in your throat or glass in your stomach. It's just cutting you up. Because you know that you have to make this right. I mean, you have a choice. Like we said, forgiveness is a choice, right? So you don't have to make up. You don't have to say anything. You can just keep on living like you're living. But at the same time, what's actually going on inside of you? You're really not being true to yourself if you can't come forth with with your spouse or with those that you're in close communication with. You're holding yourself hostage. You're actually holding yourself back from a great relationship. I told a story. So anyway, my wife came home that night, and man, like I said, it was for me. So what make it so hard? And you're right. What made it so hard? Pride. To admit that I'm wrong. I'm a man. Are we supposed to admit we're wrong? That's an oxymoron. We're not supposed to admit we're wrong. But if you want to have a great relationship, if you want to be intimate and have all these nice things that go along with marriage, you better swallow your pride, because that's exactly what it is. You need to swallow your pride. You need to repent of your sins, and you just need to make up. And when you make up, it's so beautiful when you can actually come and says, "Hon, you know what? This is what I said this morning, and I'm sorry." Now, folks, I don't know if we'll get time to go into how to say we're sorry or what goes along with that in our language, but just saying sorry is really not enough. I appreciate you for saying sorry, but I want to hear more than just sorry. What else is going to change? Like I'll ask my clients too, like tomorrow, if the same situation came up, what would be different? Because I can't be repeating the same pattern. Well, they might say, well, Jesus says to forgive 70 times 7. And I says, yeah, that's 149 times in the 24 hours. That's a lot. But the whole gist of it, what he was trying to say, though, the big picture is that we have to be long-suffering, just like he is long-suffering. So if he can be long-suffering and if he can forgive, then so we also should forgive. So so when she came home that day, I actually swallowed my pride and said I was sorry, and everything is good. I mean, you can have conversations after that, and it's not forced. You can hug and be intimate after that, and it's not like you're just putting on a show. It's not like just for self-satisfaction, but you're bonding on a level that God intended you to bond. And it's just so beautiful when you can just shut that spirit, that disease. It's a disease that want to take root. The Bible talks about the root of bitterness. It's a root, and if I feed that root, it's just going to grow bigger. If I feed that unforgiveness, it's going to grow bigger. And the longer that I believe that we take to come out and be true to ourselves and be true to others, is the more that we're watering that root, is the more that we're giving that thing, that spirit of unforgiveness, is the more that we are giving it life. And when it gets so big, if you think it was hard at the beginning when you had the chance and you could have made it right, and it's now a week or 2 or 3 weeks after, it's even so much harder then, because you've been feeding it, you've been fertilizing it, you've been babying it, you've been taking care of it, you've been sleeping with it. So it's not going to be that easy after X amount of time. So the sooner that we can come together and take control of that, I believe the sooner that we will have a relief. It says here, forgiven others. So Heather, when I forgive, well, shouldn't I expect them to say I'm sorry? What's your thoughts on that? Because as Christians sometimes, or non-Christians, if they've done something, or if I've done something, and they've done something to me, and even if I wasn't in the wrong, I can apologize, but shouldn't they come and say they're sorry for the hurt that they've caused me? Do they know what I'm feeling on the inside? What's your perspective and thoughts on that?
That's a tricky one. I mean, we can't control anybody else. They have to make their own decisions, for sure. And it's disappointing when we don't. And I'm sure I've disappointed others when I haven't said it as fast as I need to, or at all, sometimes too.
Right.
I do know that there's a great trick that I learned from Laura Doyle, a wonderful author. And she said, if someone, your partner, your spouse, offends you or says something that's hurtful, instead of attacking them back or defending or protecting yourself, going after, just simply say the word ouch. Just say ouch. Right. And they walk away or leave the area or whatever. And then they realize something has been said, that they crossed the line, and they've gotten a signal that there's something to fix here because something was a little bit hurtful. And that's been a tremendous tool to use, to, instead of engaging in the argument or going after your partner for what they just said, just simply say the word ouch and see what happens. You guys respond really well to that and want to fix that pretty quickly. So if you're wanting to get the sorry, that's a great way to work towards it.
Right. Thanks for that again too. Ouch. And I just have one more to add to that, which I've already mentioned, is if I have offended you, then you say ouch, and the other party says, I'm sorry. And what that does now, it causes us now to recalibrate. We're basically saying, let's start over. But if there's no starting over, then we just continue to go down a dark hole, a dark path that we really don't want to go. What about mental state? How does that affect someone mentally? This unforgiveness. So no, our topic, folks, for those that's just coming in, it's forgiveness is a choice. And you can reach myself, which is wwtlc Bonitto Grange .ca, or you can give us a call at 780-905-7134. Heather Piechnik, her website is www.heather, Hether, Heather, you're shaking your head there. Did I miss that?
No, you got it.
Her last name is spelled Piechnik.com, HeatherPiechnik.com. You can reach her at 250-514-7794. And for those that are coming in and want some assistance, some help on just stepping into your power, stepping into releasing what you need to release that's been bothering for a period of time, feel free to give us a call, and we will give you a complimentary 45 minutes complimentary session. And then you can make a decision from there whether you want to go forward or not. So thanks for that reminder here. Okay, so about the mental state, Heather, how does that affect you mentally when you was harboring what you needed to release, or others that you might know, even clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know in my own life that it can be all consuming mentally if I am stuck with either me not asking for forgiveness, or if I've been offended too. And I heard a great Christian speaker one time say that being offended, an offense, is the enemy's game with us, tool with us, to mess with us in a big way. Or we can be offended by a comment or an action or a lack of action or lack of comment that really hurts us. And he loves to just get in there and play with us in regards to that, to really be all consuming and create a story around it and make it bigger all the time. But we talked about that forgiveness is a choice, and forgiveness is also a decision. It's a disciplined decision we have to make sometimes. And I loved listening to Andy Stanley a few years back when he talked about forgiveness and saying that you have to first check the offense, like check the thing that hurt you, and make sure it's truthful. Make sure you've got the facts around that offense.
Right.
And decide what it is, like what that hurt was. What did that look like? What did that feel like? What was it? And really acknowledge it, but then make the decision to say, debt is paid. That debt is canceled. Wow. That's forgiven. Wow. Because my debt has been canceled every day by Christ. That Jesus died on the cross so I can have that debt canceled and that forgiveness. So Glory. Who am I to not give it to somebody else, right?
Right.
So I love that he said it was a decision. It was a disciplined decision that you have to make. Sometimes you have to make it over and over and over again. It might creep back and say, well, you know what? That time he said that thing. My hubby said that thing and it really hurt me to the core. But it's like, no, you have to remind yourself that's a decision I made to say debt canceled because my debt's been canceled. And he deserves that just like I do.
My Lord, we should hand you the mic for Sunday morning. The debt has been canceled. So someone have a comment, Shamel Samuel. She says, hey, Heather, what if the spouse always does that? When you say always does that, Shamel, are you talking about a certain action that he's always doing?
Yeah, let's hear more about that.
Can you give us a little bit more about what if the spouse always does that? Is he always saying, I'm sorry, or give me a bit of content there. Are you able to just put something in the chat?
You can always call us later too if there's a bigger conversation, whatever you need.
And you have the number here, Shamel, 250-514-7794. you can always call and get some more explanation from Heather about that. So what the spouse always does that. Yeah, give us a little bit. It might have come in there when we were having a conversation there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So as you release anger, resentment, hostility, there's so many things that's being attached to an individual when they don't choose to release what they need to release. You begin to feel once you release that, there's a peace that comes inside of you. There's just a feeling of rest. When I had said I'm sorry, and I've said I'm sorry more than one occasion. I've said I'm sorry to my children also. And sometimes, as parents, the child is shocked when we say we're sorry, and that's because we have given them the mindset that we're always right.
Right.
So for them to hear us say, you know what, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that to you, I shouldn't have made that comment. For them, it's a shock for them, but it shouldn't. It's only a shock for them because it's something that hasn't been practiced on the parent side. If it's something that was practiced on the parent side, that child would not be shocked. They should just be able to accept what has been said. But you can't, when you release that spirit of unforgiveness, empathy comes in, compassion. You can't have compassion if you have resentment that's held up inside of you. Even you become even more affectionate to the individual. So one of the consequences of not forgiving, and I've said this on some occasion. So the person has done something to you, and that person's really upset you, and you're harboring this thing. Now this person has totally forgotten what he's done. Maybe it was a joke, whatever. He probably said something that wasn't nice. He's gone home. He's having his steak dinner. He's having his roast beef. He's just enjoying life. He's watching his best Netflix. Meanwhile, you have lost your appetite. You're basically cursing everybody. You're not pleasant at all because we have allowed that individual, basically, no matter how far they have been, they're basically controlling your spirit, whether you want to realize it or not. Because you wouldn't let that go, because you wanted to harbor that, because you didn't want to forgive. You're holding on to something that's basically now allowing your body to be chemically unbalanced, where your appetite, your favorite meal, you can't even eat anymore because of what has been said. But it's beautiful when you can actually release all of that. So the reason why we feel the way we do, and we create, this is interesting, we create our own unhappiness. How do we do that? I hold you responsible, not just for what you did to me, but how I reacted and responded to what you did. I hold you responsible for my unhappiness. So that's what the individual is saying, that has walked away, that's unhappy because they have not forgiven that individual. They're now blaming the other individual for their unhappiness. When at the end of the day, it's totally up to you. So how hard is this thing, Heather, to let go? I know we're coming almost out of time here. I feel we're going to have to do a part 2 to this, Heather.
It's a big topic.
Yeah, it's such a big topic. Go ahead.
It is. There is a lot. You know what has supported me in my marriage is learning to see the big picture. 2 ways. One is to don't just take a snapshot of what he just said to you or what he didn't do or what he did do, but look at the whole video of who the person is, who my husband is. I didn't marry a jerk or a bad guy or a heartless person. I married a wonderful man, and he just had a bad moment where maybe he's upset about something else and decided to bark at me for whatever reason. So looking at the bigger picture is super helpful, just to be gracious and take a look and go, okay, that's not who the man is. That's not his character. So what's going on right now? What's really happening here? Why would he have said what he said? And the other thing is to look for the heart message.
Right,
Quite
I
often,
like that.
I love this one too. And this is a Laura Doyle tip.
Tell us about the heart. Tell us about the heart message.
Right. And
Tell us about
this
that.
is amazing. An example of this is I have a chair in my office, and it's directly viewed from the hallway, which everybody walks by on a regular basis in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband's often saying, Heather, you're still sitting in that chair, but I'm doing work, I'm doing coaching stuff. I've been up and about many times,
Right.
but he hasn't seen me up and about. He just happens to walk by when I'm sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, Heather, you got to get out of that chair. Your butt's going to look like that chair, or you're going to have terrible posture. And he's all, giving me a hard time and pretty, not firm, but just a little bit judgy.
Right.
That's how I hear it. That's the story I hear. But you know what? If I'm to look at the heart message, he said the thing, but what if I look underneath what he just said and really take a look at it? He's actually very concerned about me. He's concerned about my posture. He's concerned about my health of my back. He's concerned about me up and moving. And he's concerned about my future. So he's not, it sounded like unkind and a little harsh in the moment and a bit judgy and just walks by. But if I just take another second and look underneath of that and say, what's the real heart message he's trying to give me there? It was fabulous. He cares, and he doesn't want me hurting and doesn't want my body hurting, and he's concerned I'm sitting there too long.
Right.
But it takes that extra second and knowledge about heart messages to make that decision to go, okay, wait a second, take a look, Heather. Just take a second, take a breath, and look at the whole picture instead of barking back or being holding that resentment. Right. And just thinking, man, he's always on my case and he's not very kind. He needs to word it more nicely. That's not loving me very well.
Right.
And I can go a lot of different directions with it if I choose to. But if I make the choice to say, you know what, let's look at the big picture here. Look at who the guy is and the man I married is, and look at the man and the heart message he's trying to share with me. Right. Then it's way easier to kind of think, thanks, honey. I got you. Thanks for the comment. I appreciate that. I'll get up and move or whatever. And to let it go. Just let it go. Know it's meant in love and let it go, because I looked at the big picture, not just that snapshot of what he just said this moment. Big difference.
That's beautiful. Thank you. That's beautiful. The heart message. I think many times we overlook that because we look at the heart message as criticism. Yeah. We look at the heart message. Well, they're always picking on me. You're just being a nag. But there's many times, like you definitely are. So what is the heart message that is being said? My mother always says, Bonitto, make sure you have your t-shirt on. I says, Mom, like I'm 60 something years old. And you still wanna make sure I have my t-shirt on. Right. But I'm learning it's the heart message behind what she's saying, that she don't want me to get sick. She still want me to take care of myself, because no matter how big a person gets, your son will always be your son. So there's a question here that from Charlene. What if the person don't want to have nothing to do with you? So Charlene, when you say the person don't want nothing to do, are you talking about? I'm assuming you're not talking about your significant other. I'm not sure if you're married or not. Would that be a friend? But let's take it from both sides. So let's go from the outside now, Heather. What if they don't want to have nothing to do with you? If this is a person that's outside of a relationship, let's take that first.
Well, I'm hearing it as if you were to say you're sorry and they still don't want anything to do with you. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if sure that's what she's referring to, but it's a bit unclear for me. But all I know is that you can only control you. You can only control what you choose to do. And if you've been forthright with people to say, I'm sorry for my disrespect or for my decision or my words or whatever the offense is, that you have to leave it there, especially once especially how they want to hear the sorry, like you just spoke on earlier, Bonitto. That's important. Of what do you need to hear from me right now? If it's more than sorry. But after that, it's their responsibility to do with it what they need to do with it. You can't control what other people do with your apology, as long as it's heartfelt and coming from love.
And you mentioned earlier, thank you for that. And you mentioned earlier too, sometimes you'll feel rejected. So for this individual that's basically saying, what if the person don't want to have nothing to do with you? It could be that this individual is basically saying, I still want to have a relationship with this individual. I still want to be able to talk to this individual. Sometimes that might not be as as easy as it seems. But if the person don't want to have nothing to do with you, I'm just wondering how strong was the relationship to begin with initially, and how authentic are they in really wanting this relationship to work. So if they don't want to have nothing to do with you and it's outside of a relationship, outside of a marriage relationship, that's on them. But you have to clear yourself. You have to be true to yourself. You have to clear your heart. You can't allow unforgiveness now to take root within inside of you, because you're going to end up with that disease of unforgiveness, which nobody wants to be a part of. Also, if it's inside of a relationship, I haven't seen, I'm just going to bypass some past clients. I haven't seen where they didn't want nothing to do with them. One person that had it might have been an emotional affair that was in a relationship on a low level, just communicating through the phone. And so it took about 2 to 3 months after spending time with the individual, actually with the couple, where they could finally say, you know what, I forgive you. I forgive you. So I think a lot of times too, if you're waiting for that individual to come and apologize, sometimes give them permission to have their space, but also give yourself permission to have your space. Because the happiness is on you. Your happiness is not based upon them, upon whether they forgive you or whether they don't forgive you. You might be a bit emotional, distraught a little bit at first, because we have emotion that's built inside of us, and you just can't just ignore these emotions. But at the same time, we can we can acknowledge them, and then choose. Remember, forgiveness is a choice. We choose to move forward. We
Yeah.
choose to move ahead.
Yeah.
We choose to move ahead.
Absolutely. And it is important to remember too that when we do say we're sorry, that person that we've offended has some emotions to work through too. And to give them the time to have that, like you just said,
Right.
Bonitto, give them recognize they might have some emotions they still have to deal with. So they're not ready to say accept that apology at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So giving them time and praying for their heart during that time
Right.
is always
Right.
is what we can do.
No, beautiful. You mentioned praying. That when they don't want to have nothing to do with you, I think that drives, as Christian, that would drive us to a place where we can pray for that individual on a level that we had never prayed for them before. God has given us that opportunity that we might have never had before. So sometimes we say, what if they don't want to have nothing to do with me? But what if there's something inside of me that I need to release, that God needs to deal with? And it could have only had been dealt with based on the situation that God brought up in front of us. Heather, we're going to have to do a part 2. I usually like to keep this about 45 minutes. I'll check with your time. After this, we'll have a quick conversation. But moving forward, we want to talk about how unforgiveness detaches emotionally, and basic how forgiveness is our superpower, and also give you some exercise and some tools to work with. So if you had to give them one tool, Heather, just to help them along the way of learning how to forgive and for them moving forward, what would that be for you?
Gosh, one. There's so many I want to share with. There's so many I want to share with everybody out there. There's so much more to this, and so many.
Next time.
Next time, or just give us a call. We'd love to share it up.
Or give us a call. Exactly, we'll do the one-on-one. Exactly. Absolutely, yes. Go ahead.
I think I already touched on it. Just basically knowing that you have a choice to just let it go. You can make that decision to let it go and to look at people, look at the big picture when you see them and when you see that offense, and don't let the enemy get in there and mess with you. Really let it go and just decide, you know what, I love that person. They are having a bad day or they're having whatever, and let it go. And if you still need to say something, the most powerful word to say, so they know you've been offended, so it doesn't go unsaid, is just simply say ouch. Really powerful.
Right.
How about yourself?
No,
what about you?
No, beautiful. For one exercise or one tool, whatever you want to call it, that I think that would help an individual is ask yourself, how long do I want to torment myself? How long do I want to torment myself by allowing this thing to eat up at me? number two, I like the mirror concept where you can look eyeball to eyeball in the mirror and ask yourself the question truly deep down inside, what is it that you really need to do to have a better connection? Maybe sometimes it's not with the individual, but also a better connection with God. If you're married now, it should drive you to have a better connection with God. And just that simple mirror exercise that I've used or clients have used in the past. And I know of individuals that it took them 2 days. This is a real story, Heather. It took this individual 2 days to look at themselves eyeball to eyeball and tell themselves some things that nobody else would tell them.
Wow.
So how long will you allow this to torment you? Ask yourself the question, do you want to be free or do you want to be held in the jailhouse? Because the jailhouse is the one that you built.
Yeah, and it's a choice. It's a choice.
And it's a choice. And there's biblical, like the Bible said, that the root of bitterness, don't allow that to take root. Because every day you let it go, you're feeding it, you're making it bigger and bigger, and then it becomes harder. It becomes harder to tear down. So we're thanking each and every one of you that have come on tonight. There will be a part 2, choice of forgiveness, or basically like we just talked about, and also unforgiveness, how it detach you emotionally. That will be next week. We're going to have to try to make that work, either one way or the other. But feel free to connect with each one of us. My number is 780-905-7134. You can reach me on my website also at tlcbonitogrange.ca. You can also reach Heather Piechnik. I usually spell her last name because some folks might not know how. Last name is spelled Piechnik. So reach www.heatherpiechnik.com. And her number is 250-514-7794. Feel free to touch base with us. We can help you along your journey, whether it's on forgiveness, whether it's trust, whether it's emotional, anything that you might be experiencing through life that you have a hard time dealing with, and you just need to move forward and step into your future self, where you can be happy, where you can experience your transformation, and where you can have an impact not on your loved one, but also on the world itself. So we're definitely offering a free complimentary session for 30 to 45 minutes or more sometimes, just to help you to spearhead and start off on the right. So thank you very much again, Heather, and God bless. It's always a pleasure having you on, and we can hardly wait till we have part 2. And thanks again. And those that are listening, thanks for the comments that you had put in there. Hope we did some justice to the couple that asked. And if not, you can give us a call or touch base with the radio station, and they'll get a hold of us. God bless. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you again in the coming week.
Amen.
Have a good night, Heather. Thanks again.
Thanks, you too, Bonitto.
You're tuned to High Ground Gospel Radio, reaching out the highest mountain and the lowest valley. Thank you for listening to Transforming Your Relationships with Elder Bonitto Grange. Join us again next Friday at 5 p.m. for another program. You're tuned to Higher Ground Gospel Radio. God bless you richly. Ain't nobody